my left finger on the trigger, but he's a foot too close, which renders your man to my right dead already. He just doesn't know it yet. I feel sorry for his family.
In the age of over-politicized movies like we have in the 2020s, sometimes comes a film that reminds us that telling a story with cohesive characters that has nothing to do with modern audiences or modern sensibilities is a good thing. But getting a third chapter of a story is kind of a tricky thing to do. The Equalizer and The Equalizer 2 were pretty good, but because of the world events, it took a long time to get the third chapter made. Antoine Fuqua is back in the helm of directing, and Denzel is back as Robert McCall. But time has passed, and the demanding physical action sequences that this kind of movie demands might be an issue. Or was it? Let's find out. I'm Mephisto. Like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie, The Equalizer 3.
I'm gonna get something to write this down with.
No need for that. Everything on this line is recorded anyway, right? Buddy.
The Equalizer 3 opens up with yet another fantastic scene to reintroduce us to the awesome Robert McCall, when a mafia boss rides to his vineyard to find most of his crew dead and only a handful of his men are still alive. We come to understand that Robert was captured and lured the man into that place. Once he is there, McCall takes over and execute every last remaining staff members and the mob boss. Things, however, take a wrong turn and are not as smooth as usual because Robert takes a shot in the back and barely makes it to the mainland, only to be found by a local cop and brought to a local doctor.
Denzel.
Good thing I kept my father's cane. Huh?
It's easy.
McCall has a long healing process, but he starts to enjoy the quiet life of this remote Italian beachfront town. But in Robert's world, nothing is well. He finds out that the Camorra, the Italian mob, are slowly taking over these small towns, including the one he is recuperating in, and driving the local population away.
Salvo.
Who is this?
Concerned citizen.
He makes a call to a contact in the CIA, which starts an investigation of the drugs he found in that vineyard. True to himself, Robert intervenes on behalf of the local people, but he can only do so much without putting them in harm's way. But as we know from the past, Robert always finds a way to equal the score.
I understand weakness. I understand pain. I understand death. I understand suffering. And because of these people, I'm starting to understand peace. You can't take that away from me.
I have to say that I was actually shocked on how good this movie was. I said it in my other Equalizer reviews, and it's important to mention it again. Denzel is an aging actor, and the role of Robert McCall demands physical readiness. But in the way Antoine Fuqua set up the story, he addresses Robert's age without outright saying he does. Robert gets caught off guard, and he gets shot in a moment where he and the audience didn't really expect it to happen. This sets off a chain of events that puts him in a position where he needs to rely on other people, something he really didn't do in the other two films. But in doing so, it helped disguise the real age of the main actor. Denzel pulls off another great performance, and in the action bits where you cannot really hide his face, he was switched on and looks believable.
That's a 3. You don't want me to go to 4. I go to 4, you're on yourself. You don't want that. I don't want that. They don't want that.
Obviously, Fuqua had to tone down and have less action set piece in this movie, but the ones that he did were written especially to hide the age of Denzel, and done so incredibly well. Whether he was sitting down in a restaurant teaching a young mafia thug some manners, or coming out of the shadows with a lethal killing blow, it all went smoothly, and just like in the other two films, the stunt guys, Denzel, along with some good editing, blended everything seamlessly.
Apparently you're a ghost.
Ooh.
Not afraid of ghosts. Or anything else I can see? Mr. Two C's and Two L's.
The movie itself has a much more of a detective theme film as opposed to the other two movies. There are some twists and turns, and much like the first film, you get to see more of what the bad guys are thinking and how they operate. You know more about their motives and their frustrations with Robert and his methods. And the X factor here is the inclusion of Emma Collins, a competent CIA agent who takes over the international case after a tip from Robert himself, and that creates another dynamic between the two characters. It felt to me at times like this could be a setup for a future film starring Dakota Fanning, but who knows. All I know is that she gave an extra added side storyline that collided with the main storyline, just like in the second film, but in a whole different direction.
Says the man who knew which agency line to call. Where'd you get that number?
In the book,
What book?
little black book.
I honestly enjoyed myself very much, and the 2 hours plus went by like a breeze. The movie was well shot, well edited, and it always felt like something is about to happen or a new piece of information is about to be revealed. As I mentioned before, it has less action set piece than the other two films, but if you would ask me to rank all three of them, I would put this above number 2. Mostly because I liked how the side story tied in nicely into the end, but also gave you a nice little bow to tie in the entire 3-movie story arc. And it just goes to show that if you have a writer and a director that work around the limitation of the actor, you might get to see the same character, but they tackle a whole new set of problems without literally upping the ante every single movie. I highly recommend you pick up this movie to watch. Grab some popcorn and enjoy another fine outing of Washington as Robert McCall. It is completely worth it.
I parked your car behind the station. For when you feel better. I didn't look in your bags.
I thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.